Alright, how's everyone doing today? Joey here with Big Girls Garage. And when I was first getting into the car scene, my first project car was a 76 El Camino. You know, not the most popular El Camino, but I loved it. And when I was first getting into cars, I really didn't know what I was looking at. And so I'm just going to create a quick video for you guys, a walk around of these small block Chevys so you can understand what part is what part without getting into the internals too much. So this is my 1965 El Camino, and it has a 327 small block Chevy. I'm in the process of restoring it, but I'm just going to show you around so you kind of understand how a small block works and what part is on. So if someone says, oh, you need valve cover gaskets, you understand what that is. So starting off from the top of the engine, you have the air filter, and beneath it you have a carburetor, and the carburetor is where your gas and air mix and feeds into the intake to basically how your engine runs. So here is a carburetor and the gas inlet is here. If you ever hear about a PCV valve, this is right here on your valve cover, and it breathes into the carburetor. I know my motor's a little dirty. We're in the process of restoring it, but if you hear intake manifold, this is your intake manifold, this whole big aluminum piece. These are your valve covers. Underneath you have valves. So it is a V8, which means the motor is oriented and has as a V and has two heads. So there's one head, two head right here. If you need a water pump, this here is your water pump. It circulates your coolant to keep your motor from overheating. Right here is basically a radiator which cools, allows the coolant to flow through it and cool down to continue using in the motor. Right here is an alternator. It charges your battery and basically runs the headlights and all the electronic systems in your car. This is your power steering reservoir feeding to the pump that allows you that power steering. That's an option on these cars and an option on some 350s. Beneath it you have the crankshaft, which turns the motor. And this right here is the fan. This down here is the mechanical fuel pump. Since it is an older Chevy vehicle, it is a mechanical fuel pump. Some newer ones will have electronic fuel pumps, and in that place you'll just see a plate that covers that. In the back of the motor you have the distributor, and that works with ignition timing to tell when each spark plug needs to fire as your motor runs. In the top right corner over here, you have your brake booster and your brake master cylinder. Down here, these are the stock exhaust manifolds. Exhaust manifold is stock. Headers is aftermarket. Sometimes your car will overheat and a mechanic may tell you it's your thermostat. Inside here is your thermostat, and the thermostat's job is when the motor gets hot enough, it opens up and allows the coolant to flow through the motor. So here's a 350 small block. We got two of them here. One is a newer small block, and this is an older small block. This came out of a 79 pickup truck. And basically, this is with the intake manifold off, and you can see you have different ports. Ports for coolant, ports for air and fuel. With your exhaust off, this is what it looks like. These are exhaust ports, and here are spark plugs. You'll have 4 on each head. Down here is where I was telling you, this is where the mechanical fuel pump went. Here's where the fan was attached, and it helps drive the water pump. This down here is your crank. You have a crankshaft that turns the pistons in the motor. Up here is the alternator for this one. This is the back of the motor. Down here is where this motor attaches to the transmission. If it's a manual, you're going to have a flywheel, a clutch, and a pressure plate. If it's automatic, you're going to have a torque converter, as well as a flex wheel, or a flex plate. Now this is a motor that's almost stripped down more. It came out of an 89 Camaro. As you can see, this one was fuel injected. It was 2 import injections, and that's why this plate right here where a mechanical fuel pump would be is blocked off. Also, on the updated 350 small blocks, you notice how the older ones have these right here that hold down the valve cover. The newer motors have the bolts for the valve cover on top of the valve cover. So this one came out of an 89 IROC Camaro, and it's going to get rebuilt sometime here. So this was just a very basic overview of the 350 small block. or a small block Chevy, they're all going to be somewhat similar. You might have a pulley assembly that's slightly different, but if you have any questions about these motors, go ahead and leave a comment in the description. Thank you for watching our video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and also check out our Instagram and TikTok. We post there as well.